All right, well, we can go ahead and get started. We have a kind of a varying group of people that come to the mastermind depending on their availability. So I didn't have any specific topic to speak on today. And Darren, since you and Sarah are new, kind of leave it open to see if you guys have questions or feedback on the onboarding process or questions about like our task portal that I can share my screen and walk through different things that to help you guys better utilize our resources.
This is totally random. So we're on fall break this week, and of course we're a small business, so we're still working, right?
Yep.
But with an 11-year-old and 7-year-old at home, so we're doing what we can. That being said, I actually did not notice this meeting on the calendar, and I actually asked Ashley to walk us through kind of Monday.com, personally. And I set it up for the exact same time. So I had to, because I was on the phone with her and I just said, hey, how about 12? And then I went back and looked at, and so I had to cancel that meeting to jump on this one. So that being said, no, I canceled it, asked her to reschedule for one, which we can maybe just, cancel that one in general and do something else work on something else with her. But yeah, if we can walk through that, that'd be great, actually.
Perfect. I will go ahead and share my screen then. Are you guys, let's see, looks like it's coming up now.
Yep, it's coming up.
All right, I'll widen the screen here. All right, so this is this will look just like your task portal. This is the one that we use for kind of like our personal family tasks. And there's a variety of things that are available that sometimes people don't take advantage of. The first one, I'll just kind of show, real simple things of like adding a task. There's several ways of doing it. You can do it by just clicking add task here. I like to have a high level summary of the task here, not detailed instructions or long form text. This is just meant to be kind of a summary name, if you will, of the task. Once that is created, so let's say test task, will automatically assign whoever is creating the task as the requester. You can change that or add multiple people. So for example, like this task above, we're looking for a new pediatrician that's in our network. We've gone ahead and like added Adrian there. So she'll get notifications as our assistant helps find or has updates or things like that. Then you can go ahead and assign someone. So you'll have the Ashley is listed there. We also have these teams. So you'll have like your work team, and that in this instance for you guys specifically will just be Ashley. Some clients that have multiple virtual professionals, they'll all be in that team. So if you don't necessarily want an individual doing it, you just want to say like, hey, I've got several people. I want everyone on my team to be responsible for this. This will notify everyone in that team that they've been assigned a new task. The other items here are, I think I've got some feedback from you, Darren. I don't know if you want to mute.
Yeah, hang on one sec. Give me 1 sec.
Okay.
Disconnect.
If you want, I can mute you and then unmute you when I'm done talking, or if you're needing help with that.
Hang on 1 sec, almost there. So we usually put things up on our overhead, and we put the screen up there, and for some reason it did something it's never done before. It didn't put the video up, but it put the audio up, which is odd. So I'm just going to take it off and just go back to my laptop.
Okay. That's right. If I keep talking now, or sounds like
all right, yeah, we're back now. We're good.
Perfect. All right. So then there's all these other columns. Now these are things where you don't necessarily have to use them. Sometimes I find it helps to assign tasks priorities. And this just kind of helps the virtual professional know which they should be working on first, especially if you've got a lot of different tasks pending. I think we kind of talked about this when we met in person, how I often will go and just do a brain dump, and I'll put all the different things I've been thinking about in as tasks at once. I don't necessarily expect them to work on 10 different tasks at the same time. And so putting a priority helps with that. And these are all customizable things. So like if you want to add other priorities or other columns, you are more than welcome to do that, or have Ashley do that for you. These are things that I've found are kind of the common, most requested and most helpful things that are across the board from our clients, and our personal experience with virtual professionals are helpful. The other thing here is the due date. You can pick, if something has a deadline, you can put that deadline on there, and that will send out, what that does, it helps tell the virtual professional, when it's expected to be done, so they can also prioritize what they work on that way. And it does automated notifications of, a few days before it's due. The requester and the person responsible get notified, like, hey, you should probably start working on this. And then the time tracking. So all the virtual professionals are trained to use time tracking whenever they're working on a project. And that way it helps us in our business planning of like, okay, how long does it take for Andy here to do our Myrtle Beach monthly property tax? So it took him 3 hours last time. So that just helps us budget, knowing like going forward, it takes like 3 hours a week. And this, if we were to get another house in Myrtle Beach, we'd need another 3 hours of time to do that. Similarly, we have the request date. So this just helps in like sorting things. You can use the columns at the top to sort tasks by any of these fields. And then when a task is marked complete, the complete date will be automatically filled in. And the tasks will also, I guess I skipped over status here. That's kind of an important one. So these are the status here. So pending is if nobody's been working on it yet. When they start working on a task, they will change the status to working on it, and it will automatically move the task into the active group. And then if they get to a point where they're not able to proceed for some reason, like they need information from you, they need you to fill out a form, or something they just can't proceed, they can change it to stuck, and that will automatically notify the requester. In addition, if they change the status to stuck, they are trained to put an update that will explain why they're stuck, so that you know what information to be provided. They should also just communicate rather than just typing it here, but that is kind of up to you and Ashley and how you guys want to do that. I like to make sure there's an update, as well as if it's urgent, send me a chat or a text message being like, hey, I was working on this for you, but I can't proceed. And then of course, done means the task has been completed, and it will move down to the completed section. And then going over on the far right, this task ID, that is something that most people don't use a whole lot. That's just kind of like a unique identifier that gets created on every new task. When you click it, it automatically copies it to the clipboard. So that way, if you need to like have a unique reference for a task, that is available. You can also go into the updates here. This is a pretty powerful tool. When you go into here and go to these dots at the top, you can actually get a direct link to that item. And so I find this is really helpful. If I have a task and I'm chatting or in a video call with the virtual professional, I'm like, hey, let's talk about this task. I thought we were supposed to do this. How come it was done this way, type of thing. I just can copy that link item and send it to them. And then when they click it, it automatically will go to their board with that specific item pulled up, and they'll see the updates here. Another cool feature that I like is this write updates via email. If you click on that, it gives a unique email address that you can copy, and then you can forward items to, and they'll show up here in the task updates. So let's say you've got an email that you had from a client or something like that, that has a bunch of details that your virtual professional needs to complete the task. Rather than like copying and pasting it or messing with all that, you can just copy this email address, forward it here, and then that whole email is listed in the update section. In addition to emailing, you can of course type in. You can also do like copy paste if you have an image. It's just a rich text formatting area. You can attach files, things like that. And then another cool thing too is like when you get to the point where you have like multiple people working on a task board, and there's a question like, well, what's the history here? You can always go and under the activity log, see all the things that happened on this task. And in a similar manner, for the board, you can click the board activity button, and you can see all the activity that's been happening. Getting more advanced, there's things you can create custom automations. I'm not going to get into that necessarily because that's more of like Monday.com specific skills. Every one of our task boards has these default 8 automations built into it that I kind of talked about. So it's like, if the status changes to stuck, move it to the stuck group and notify the requester. You're welcome to add any new automations or turn these off. It's however you want to do it. It's your task board. You can customize it however you want. Another couple neat things that are helpful sometimes is this ability to generate tasks from a form. You can create different forms or customize the form. And what you can do then is click share form and you get a link. When you go to that link, it's a web fillable form that will automatically populate into your main task board here. And one thing to keep in mind is all these different views of your task board all relate to the same data. So you can create custom views that are like the same table view and then add like a filter to it to say, hey, I only want to see, let's see if I can do that in advance, ones that are assigned to me. So if I'm responsible, you can say this first option called dynamic. This will create a view that whoever's viewing it will only see tasks that are assigned to them. And you can hit save to this view. And you can add all kinds of different filters there, however you want. We have some clients that have added columns like categories and created other groups. So they can like categorize tasks related to like managing their social media, managing their website, HR related things for client onboard or employee onboarding. So they can have further levels of sorting and filtering to view the tasks that it's helpful for them. You can also have high-level dashboards that show these different widgets that Monday.com provides. One of our clients is a very like schedule-based oriented business, and so the tasks and their deadlines are very important. And so they actually created a custom like calendar view that sorted things by the category and the priority as well as the deadlines. And so this is just kind of the generic one that I put together as an example. You can play around with all the different widgets and views to make this task board as useful and adding the most value to you as you can. Beyond that, the other thing you can do that is helpful sometimes is creating tasks via email. And I believe, yes, if you go to the triple dots at the top and then board settings, you can click create item via email. And similar to like those updates on an individual task, you can get a unique email address that if you email to it, it automatically will put a task on the board here for you. And what it does is the subject of the email becomes the task name, and the content of your email will be listed as an update under the update section here. So sometimes that's helpful if you don't want to retype everything in as a new task. Do you guys have any questions about that so far?
Yeah, it's pretty user-friendly. And again, I've used the platform. It's just been 5 or 6 years, so it's changed a little bit, but.
Yes, and so some people ask if they can create additional boards. The answer to that is no. The way that Monday.com has a subscription set up, guests who are not like owners of the, paying the subscription are not able to create additional boards. So everyone who are my clients, they are assigned to their specific board, and only them, Kiara, myself, and their assigned virtual professional are able to access that board.
Okay, yeah, because that's actually a good point, because I was actually going to ask if we could have one that was like one for Engage Healthcare Solutions and then one for like Carter Family Tasks or something to that extent.
Right, so what I would do for that is I would add a new column for you guys and create that's a, I'm going to do an example here. Add a column, and it would not be status. Status has like a very special meaning and connotation in Monday terms. There's another one I believe called label. This helps categorize things, and so it's essentially a status column, except it does not have some of the special connotations that status has in the Monday world. You can have this be task type or something like that, and you can edit the labels, and you could have one that is
Business, personal.
business, and one that's personal. And then what you can do is kind of like what I did here with the custom view. You can go here and make a filter that only shows the task type that is business or personal. And you can have different views. So that's like one of them is only personal and one of them is only business. You can also change which one of these views is your default view. Right here, say set as board default. So that way, like if you only want to see the business one when you come to your task board in the morning, that's what's going to show up first. You can of course always click to the other views, but it's totally up to you as far as that preference. And you can get really creative. You can make as many of these as you want. As you can see, you can have things that are like favorites or things like that. So that's how I would solve that particular problem of wanting to have like different task boards for different types. Is you just add the new column and create filters.
Okay.
Let's see. Other things that are kind of helpful are just like quick filters. You can always just go and select the person to filter on that's been assigned to the board without creating a more advanced filter.
Or maybe Harley, I don't know if you showed him how he could save different views for different responsible parties along the lines of those filters. That's something that we like a lot.
Can you elaborate on that?
So that it's like a quick link at the top. So if you were to share by like when Andy is the responsible party, and then save that board so Andy can go to that view of him seeing it specifically.
Yeah. So that is similar to what I did here for dynamic view. So rather than like the dynamic me option, you would just pick the person that you want to assign to. So like let's say this will be explicitly Harley. And so when you go to this view here, it's showing, we can then rename it and say, Harley's task. And so that way anybody can go and always see like what's been assigned to me on this particular view. Is that what you were talking about, Adrian?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so that's particularly helpful when teams when clients will have multiple virtual professionals working for them. The task board can get quite overwhelming if you just go to the normal main table view, because there could be hundreds of tasks that are active at any given time and hundreds that are pending. And so having these custom views is also helpful for the virtual professional so that they are able to better visualize what's assigned to them and zero in on those tasks. All right. Any other questions that you've had so far, Darren?
No, I think we're good.
Awesome. Adrian, did you have any tips or recent discoveries related to like the task board or just using the virtual professionals in general that you found helpful recently?
Along the one other thing I would add is I think that 90% of the time they're really good at communicating. What I like to do periodically, especially with like some of the messier projects that get stuck from this board, is Harley, that little plus sign or the little comments that are happening there that you kind of talked about at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Like let's just say let's on here you see there's in the active group the first task is past its due date by a long shot, and that happens. And so I would personally, like, I go through periodically, I look for those due dates, I look for things that seem to be taking a long time, and I go in there and I just tag the admin again and I say, can I get an update on this? So I don't know. I know you showed him a little bit about the back and forth in there, but I just wanted to kind of highlight that that's one way I use it. Just like Harley actually did that perfectly here. You can see he tagged Andy and kind of asked what's going on. And I have a lot of conversations with admins via this updates thing, and it's just a really clean way to keep it together.
And in Andy's defense here, he works on a lot of different projects for us, and his primary role is helping Adrian's real estate team. And so I have not been like too harsh on him for not updating this, because he has actually done this task for us. So I've seen it, but he just hasn't gotten around to updating the task. So he has room for improvement on his communication skills.
Well, and I would say something that sets them up for success that Harley has not done here is use the priority. So I use the priorities every time so that they know, like, I have low, medium, high, and then critical priorities. And they know if I do critical, like, it needs to happen ASAP. Most of my stuff is high, and if it's medium, it can be at the bottom of their list. But I always use the priority, and that helps with them too.
No, I absolutely will use priorities. I use priorities on everything too, so I get it.
And it sets them up for success. Like, I would say the admins do really well with that and with due dates, which are also kind of missing here. And along those lines, I tell them if a due date is like a hard deadline or if it's I think you'll get this done by then, because the admins, I would say, are very diligent and responsible. And if they don't realize that a due date is a suggestion rather than a hard deadline, they can like stress out about it a lot. So
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So Adrian, I'd like to, kind of pick your brain just from a different perspective, because you
Sure.
guys are utilizing them. I mean, I guess Harley and company ours as well, but we do government contracting for medical supplies, equipment, and devices. So we do a lot of things that are driven by deadlines, because the deadline is the deadline 90% of the time, right? So I'd be curious, not necessarily now. I think we just need to, this is our first week and we're on fall break. So, once we get into it a little bit, I think it'd be helpful just to, is this a weekly call that you guys have, or monthly?
This is monthly, although if you have questions, I'm available whenever. We can hop on a quick call like this, or
Okay.
I'm here for your success. So you don't have to wait until the monthly mastermind to unload all the questions.
Okay. Yeah, that would be great. So yeah, just stay tuned as we kind of get our feet wet and kind of try to figure everything out. But it's going very well so far.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear that. All right. Well, I don't want to take too much of everyone's time. We usually end around 20 or 30 minutes, unless there's a lot of questions or some good discussion going on. I'll let kind of everyone go around if you have any other questions or input or things you'd like to share.
I'm good.
I'm good. Sarah.
Okay, awesome. And we also have Kiara on these. She's my executive assistant. You've probably spoken, interacted with her through the onboarding. If you are welcome to ask her things that are, like, hey, what's going on with like this Filipino culture, or like holidays, or anything that is, unique to the fact that our employees are in the Philippines. Kiara is here to help address those as well.
I'll throw one thing in since you mentioned that, because it's kind of funny. On Monday, which is our first day going live with this, I told Ashley that we were on fall break. And then about 5 minutes after we got off the call with her, I looked at Sarah and I said, I wonder if they know what fall break is. And I was like, it's a different culture and they probably have, and it's the Philippines, like fall. I don't know if that's really a thing over there. So, so it turns out she didn't. So she didn't get when I said, and we're still sending her tasks and we're like, hey, we can work on getting this set up and that set up and blah, blah, blah. But I actually asked her this morning and I said, hey, when I said that we're on fall break, did you catch like really what that is? I said, we were planning on going on vacation and being out of town. We ended up staying here, but it was just kind of funny. So that's a good point. Different cultures a little bit, but no, everything's been really smooth and we appreciate it.
Awesome. All right. Well, Kiara is recording this, and
yeah, sorry, Darren. We only have 2 seasons here, so maybe she didn't know that you take it seriously. Fall break is something really serious there.
Yeah. It is funny. I thought so. I'd throw it out, right? But no, everything's good. Thank you all for your support, and we'll keep it rolling.
Awesome. So Kiara is recording this. She'll send out an email with the recording, so you guys can always reference this if you have want follow up on the task board. And I believe she sends out some like onboarding emails that have some links to like PDFs and videos, kind of with little mini tutorials on this stuff as well.
Yeah, and we've got a bunch of those. Thank you for those. We just haven't had a chance to look at them yet, but we will look at them and start using the platform more efficiently.
Awesome. All right. Well, have a great rest of your week, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Thank all you guys.
Thanks.
Bye.